I'd like to call the Board of Education meeting to order for February 6th. If everyone would please stand for our invocation given by Ms. Cook, followed by the presentation of colors and Pledge of Allegiance by North Brunswick High School or ROTC.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this time. We thank you for all of us arriving safely, and we ask you just give us wisdom and guidance in the things that we do tonight to better the education of the teachers and help children and educate the ones that are here and you've given us the care of. We thank you for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Color guard extension. Trail colors. Forward bar. Mark time. Mark. Color guard. Halt. Order. Colors. Left face. Carry. Colors. Present. Arms. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Colors. Order. Arms. Right face. Trail colors. Forward bar.
Thank you. Thanks again to North Brunswick High School, JROTC. Next is our public address, which we have none. Correct, Mr. Tubb? Presentations, Teacher's Voice, Ms. Carolyn Phillips.
Hello. I was just telling Mr. Kirby that I thought coming up here today after a meeting with three of you for coffee would be a little less intimidating, and I'm actually a little more nervous.
We scared you. No,
I'm sorry?
We scared you.
No, not at all. I think,
Let's clarify which three you've met.
Yes, we'll point them out right now. Mr. Lemon
So
and Mrs. Cook and Mr. Thompson have
And
all
we're
met
scheduled
with me.
So you're nervous because you haven't
Yes.
been.
And
We're
Mr.
doing
Miller we have a scheduled date for the 26th
Correct.
of February. So Miss Milligan, you're take a look at your calendar.
Save the best for last.
There you go. There you go. I put together a video for you to view of my NCAT experience. So I know I gave that to Jill. Is that? Oh, I'm sorry. So get out of the way. This was something that I had never experienced before, and I know this was a program that was our scholarship that was started back, I believe, when Laura Hunter was our Teacher of the Year. And I mean, I can't thank you enough, and it's something that I hope that you continue throughout for our next Teacher of the Year and so on for many years. The reason I chose the teacher leadership workshop was being put in this role as Teacher of the Year for Brunswick County Schools was not something that I had gone after or had, strived for. It kind of happened, and I think that's based on what I do and the person that I am. So I needed a little bit of guidance on, needed to be grounded, and I thought this would be a good workshop that would help me help others in Brunswick County School, because I feel like this is something that I need to pass on. I'm one of 900 and something. What is the number? 800. Okay, so 860. So I just wanted to share with you a few takeaways, if you have the time for that, and I promise I'll be as quick as possible. Michelle came to help me out today. Some things that I felt were important to share that may be helpful within our county. As you all know, that I've been kind of reaching out to you guys to spend some time with me and get to know me on a personal level, and I get to know you on a more personal level in order to hopefully make good things happen. How can we help each other? And day two, we had a presentation about John Maxwell, and I don't know if any of you have ever heard of John Maxwell before, but his philosophy is there's five levels of leadership, and I feel like it pertains really well to education, the education field, no matter where you're at. If you're in a school, if you're in the county office, or if you're on the Board of Education. So thinking about, starting out for me as that positional Teacher of the Year, Miss America, is it a popularity contest? Is it not a popularity contest? And reaching higher than just that positional level. So going from, this Teacher of the Year to, okay, so I want to be able to influence other teachers in the county to be a leader and be the type of leader that they can be. And one of the jobs that we had was to put together an action plan. What could we take back to our county or to our school that would be helpful in building teacher leaders? And so what Michelle had given you is kind of my plan that I spent 2-3 days on, and have since been working on it as well. Could it be something that we consider? So, looking at my why and what my vision is as an educator and where I will go, from here in the next 10 years, it's very important for me to serve the community and the Brunswick County School stakeholders, which are all of us in this building, are everyone in our schools, no matter what we are, with the hopes that positive outcomes and changes and successes will ensue for our students and our colleagues and our fellow teachers. So you have in front of you, and I apologize, I don't have enough copies for everyone, but our Phase 1 action plan is something that I considered at the beginning, and I told Mr. Thompson this, I think, when we sat down for coffee. There is this nervousness that happens, or not nervousness, I'm sorry, maybe hesitation as far as a teacher position. How do we become leaders in our building? How do we become leaders in our county? Is it something that is given to us, or is it something that we just achieve naturally? So with that being said, taking a look at, we have teachers, we have principals, we have county office, we have our Board of Education. Wouldn't it be a wonderful world if all of us, what can we all do for each other, and how can we how can you build your people? How can you build your teachers? And trusting in that. So a lot of what you're seeing in this diagram that I've given you kind of states the present of where I feel or TAC feels. We've begun to establish these stronger working relationships with you guys, and how can we move that level up If it's positional, we know Mr. Tubb is our superintendent. That's his position. But, you like Mr. Tubb, so you kind of want to do a little more. So that's another step up in leadership. Being able to grow that way and invest in your teachers and your employees, I think is going to be most beneficial for our students. So looking at where the future is, or where, I could foresee Brunswick County School going in the phase 1 process, and then, from there, phasing into phase 2, and going from that, I want to work for you because I like you. I now want to produce for you. I want to do more for you. I want to work harder for you, and give you, because you're investing in us, kind of like what you did with Teacher Academy and giving us that opportunity. So we're producing. The teachers are producing test scores. They're producing stronger relationships with the students of Brunswick County. The relationship that I have with you guys, that can happen as well. The relationship I have with Dr. Oates or Mr. Tubb or Dr. Meadows, all of these things can happen, and we're willing to, do that. We just have to kind of step outside, I guess, of our position, is what, my thoughts are. How can I use what I know and share this with the county, I guess, is my question to you. And I know you've only had a brief little bit to look at this, but, would this be share-worthy information throughout our county? And if so, with whom? Like, what are your thoughts on this, especially those of you that are familiar with John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership?
Can we speak, Mr.?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
Well, what you're saying is really interesting to me. I guess I've always been a strong proponent for professional development, because I think of teacher growth as, allowing teachers to become the best possible teachers they are. But I haven't really thought about it in terms of the larger community growth that you seem to be talking about. So it's really interesting, because, why do we hire teachers? Right. We hire them for the classroom, but they also have tremendous impact in the community. Mm-hmm. I think it's worthwhile to explore as a part of the growth of our teacher workforce. I think the board has talked at length and committed itself to excellence in education for our children through growth of our professional staff. So, the Teacher Academy was kind of a down payment on that, as well as NCAT funding and the scholarships that we have for NCAT. Mm-hmm. And Teacher of the Year, frankly. It was all to lift our professional staff to a high level of achievement. So it's I believe, worth the conversation.
Okay.
I agree with what Mr. Thompson said, and I think it's opened a lot of lines of communication, especially with you and the information you bring to us each month. So I appreciate it. Mr. Lemon? Anybody else?
I have one. Ms. Phillips, I think we have asked you to speak to the principals sometime in the very near future at one of our principals meetings, haven't we?
Yes, and I almost had a heart attack. I read an email this morning and started hyperventilating a little bit. But,
You can handle us, you can handle anybody.
I think this is a perfect opportunity to start a conversation with what you have here.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely, and Mr. Kirby is here in support of me, and I spoke to him about this. And the third page of the action plan is just kind of a framework model for any school setting. And not knowing what I'm familiar with the present at at Leland Middle School, not familiar with the present culture climate at Lincoln Elementary School. So, even though that present could be different, countywide, I feel like the pathway to and the future would assume, looks the same based on, where their vision is and where they want to go. But yes, so could it benefit our principals, I guess is what, yes. Well, I appreciate your feedback, and please share with me anything if you think of something later after going over this and that would be beneficial. I do have some information to share with you concerning TAC and things that are upcoming in TAC. First, I wanted to make you aware of an opportunity that myself and Crystal King, who is a member of our TAC committee, as well as Casey Smith, who is a former Brunswick County School Teacher of the Year, are attending an ed camp that's set up through the North Carolina Museum of Art in Raleigh. And it's a free PD on a Saturday from 10:30 to 2:30. So I'd be excited to share that information with you and see. It's kind of like your unconventional professional development. I've never attended one, but I keep hearing great things about it. And, you know, I wanted to make sure I get the experience before, you know, discussing it with you guys and see what you think about that type of professional development. It's a little more innovative, or it's not old school, we'll say that.
One more, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The idea of, I guess, developing teacher leadership seems to me to be a good idea. But on the other hand, how do we communicate as a board that we would like for teachers to reach or to promote among themselves and for themselves greater leadership and a larger role than just the classroom, because that's really what you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Or even moving out of your classroom into your school community.
Right.
You know, starting there and kind of, you know, I kind of started at the top, and based on, you know, circumstance and how things worked out for me, yes.
We'll
yes.
give some thought to how we as a board can directly or indirectly communicate to teachers that we support such initiatives as not only their professional growth, as I've sort of been focused on perhaps even too much without thinking about the other aspects of leadership, because teachers can play a very powerful role in the larger community with parents and the leadership industry, and there's all sorts of roles for improving, I guess, the message that education is important for our community.
Well, the culture that we have now is very, the parents trust their teachers. They're more comfortable talking to the teachers within the county. They don't feel maybe a separation, or I feel like they trust teachers, and that's kind of who they go to for their information. So having that open line of communication, again, you know, kind of in that framework, you know, just sitting down with the three of you it was just an awesome experience for me. I learned why you decided to, you know, run for the Board of Ed, and that was a really cool story to me, and I want to share that with others. I love talking with you, Mr. Thompson, your innovative architectural mind, and, you know, the art person in me, you know, it's really nice. And Mr. Lemon, your experience is so vast in so many different areas that these are things I didn't know, and I will say 90% of our teachers don't know. And I think opening that avenue up, too, is just only going to be for the positive in what we do as a county and the initiatives that we build or continue.
Well,
begin.
we're people too, and this is a growth process for all of us. I think sometimes it takes several years to begin to really fully appreciate what a board member can achieve working with other board members. So it helps us as well.
I'm glad. Just a couple other things. Our next TAC meeting is February 15th, and we actually have Mr. Frank Eiler is going to come and talk with us on the 15th, next Thursday. I met with him last Monday or Tuesday, just to kind of see where his thoughts were with our HB 13 issue that I spoke to you guys about. I know he met with you all, I believe, or some of you about, sat down with you guys, and So he had asked about, they're, I guess in legislation this week, they're discussing budget. That's kind of on the forefront of what's happening. So he wants to give TAC, a better understanding. He'll have more information on the 15th, so. we have a
Where's that
big
meeting
agenda
at?
On the
Carol?
15th.
Where's that meeting?
It's going to be at,
BCA.
yes, at BCA.
And what time?
It will be at 4:30. Yes, sir. Daniel Siemens is also going to come introduce himself at TAC for that meeting as well. And then we also have a CTE presentation from Mr. Tubb and Mr. Cheers, giving us information about the CTE initiative that Brunswick County is presenting. So we're looking forward to that. Just not sure how long that will be, so we can figure out the scheduling part. We'll condense it. And then one really cool thing that happened to me today was I was asked at UNCW to present about teacher leadership to their beginning teachers for their professional development day on Friday. So good things are happening based on, I feel like, what I'm doing, and it's for the heart of the county. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that. And also, a writer from the online publication Ed and C has contacted me about doing a story about Teacher Academy and how the interest may then continue out into the state. So using that so I will keep y'all posted on that.
And that one, Ms. Phillips, will be a follow-up. Ed and C did the original one about Teacher Academy.
So, yes.
This is a follow-up article about what happened where we are. It is a good opportunity.
Did they?
They might be contacting one of you at some point soon.
I'm just curious what kind of response they might have had to those articles, because they have teacher feedback loops, and they must have indicated a lot of interest.
They did, and then on top of that, at the superintendent's meetings that I've attended, I've had a lot of comments off of that particular article and how we did it and what took place with the teachers and how the teachers.
You carry the snapshot of the big red apple in your
Yes,
pocket.
sir, I did. Believe me.
I think they're looking for a teacher perspective for this article. That's my assumption based on discussing it with him. So that should be beneficial to Brunswick County as well. So I appreciate your time. I know we need to move on. Next month, I wanted to talk to you guys about our adaptive groups, our adaptive classes throughout the county, and kind of the growth that's happening with that. But thank you. I appreciate it. Look
Has
forward
your
to
son
seeing-
healed up?
He is. He
You left
$30,000 later. Yes. No, he is. He's healing slowly. The leg break was a clean break, and it was definitely something that had to be taken care of quickly. And he called today actually. He was hurting, so his dad went and picked him up from school. But he's healing. It's just a very slow process. And he's at that age, 15, where they just got their learner's permit. His grandpa gave him an old beat-up truck for Christmas. So he can't skateboard, yeah.
Your fun's just beginning.
It's not been great at all.
Bless your heart.
So thank you for asking, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
The next principals meeting is Thursday, but we'll give you a little bit longer prep time than that, okay? But we look forward to you
I
bringing this to
appreciate
you.
that, thank you. And I'll send you guys information and see what you think as far as that's concerned. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to mention something now that's not on the agenda. I learned earlier that tonight is Miss Helen Davis's last board meeting before retirement. So you're not like dancing or... Ms. Davis started as a teacher in 1984, served as the very successful principal at Southport Elementary, Lincoln Elementary, and the first principal of Town Creek Elementary. Served as Executive Director of Elementary Education and currently serves as the Executive Director of Student Support. We cannot thank you enough for the service that you've provided to so many children in this county.
And
Thank
we-
you so much.
And we will be recognizing her on
Yeah.
the 22nd
Well, we just
also.
wanted to say something
Yep.
at a board meeting tonight.
And I have threatened her with closed session of extending her opportunities to work for us a little bit longer, but she threatened me back.
But thank you, Ms. Davis. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Please.
And Ms. Davis, I want to say, as a former colleague of yours, it was indeed an honor to work with you. Back when we started I was at Belleville and you were, and I just want you to know it has been an honor, and you have done a tremendous job at mentoring the children of Brunswick County. Thank you.
That leadership thing again.
Okay, moving right along, approval of the meeting agenda. Is there any adjustments or additions?
I wanted to ask about the district review committee, why that isn't on consent.
I had to leave the committee meetings. Maybe somebody else can answer that. Do y'all remember?
Did we move that to consent then?
Do y'all remember anything?
I guess because it was the revised list, maybe we just put it on the action versus consent, because not everybody was there. Do you recall?
I just recall it, but I think it was a matter of course, the three of us there, we just, I can't remember who said put it on action, or maybe it was just requested to be placed on action. But I don't remember specifically one way or the other.
I don't,
What's the pleasure of the board?
Put it on consent?
Y'all good?
that's fine.
Is that a motion?
Or
We have a second?
Approve the meeting agenda with the district review committee being moved to consent.
Have a second?
second?
All in favor? Aye. All right, approval of minutes, December 12th, operations, January 9th, regular meeting, January 23rd, operations, January 23rd, curriculum and policy, January 23rd, finance and HR.
I'll make a motion to approve all those minutes.
Have a motion by Ms. Cook. Do I have a second?
A second.
Ms. Milligan, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Consent items, budget amendments, special revenue fund number 5 and state number 6.
And district review committee.
And the district review committee. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Have a motion for the consent?
I move we could approve consent items.
Have a motion by Mr. Lemon. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Cook. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, action items for approval. SREB contract addendum. Mr. Tubb? Or is it, who, sorry,
Ms. Cahill.
Ms. Cahill?
This is a contract addendum that was brought to the Finance Committee and was requested that we put it on action for the board meeting. The initial contract was over $50,000, therefore any addendums to that contract are brought to the board. This is requesting additional support, PD support, for the 3 new schools that signed on this year with SREB. And the cost for this piece is $11,000.
And that was at those schools' request?
It's for the new schools that came on this year, and they were VW, Charlotte Middle, Supply.
Yes, sir. And each one of these were given the opportunity to look at the program at Cedar Grove and what was taking place at Cedar Grove. The math teachers were given the opportunity, and the math teachers chose to become involved in this program and professional development. Yes, ma'am.
In looking at the results that was prepared by our testing and assessment office, it was a very positive inclusion with SREB, and compared to prior years. And with that in mind, I would like to make a motion that we approve this contract SREB.
Have a motion by Ms. Milligan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Cook. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
And just a point of information that for next year and in the budget process, these schools are, we're asking the teachers again, is this a priority, and the principal, is this a priority for your school? Now, it was priority because these were low-performing schools, with the exception of VW, but VW was a feeder into Cedar Grove. And so I know that we're talking with the principals, and the principals in turn are talking with their teachers, their math teachers in particular, about do they want to continue the program next year, or is it something they would like to phase out. And so far it's been very, we've had every school, just about every school say we want it right now, and we've had one to say they're thinking about it. All of the middle schools have said yes, right off the bat.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda is makeup days. I'm assuming Dr. Oates.
Yes. In your packets, you should have the days for makeup that we presented at the committee meetings. And this was moved to an action, as an action item tonight. Simply to recap, the days that we're looking at making up for student days was January 3rd. That was made up on January 23rd. January 4th, which is recommended to be made up on February 19th, which is currently a teacher's work day. And the teacher makeup work days you'll see in your packet as well. The January 23rd work day is now a required work day on June 13th. The February 19th work day is now a required work day on June 14th. And the January 5th regular day is now a June 15th required work day. So we're looking at putting those work days at the end of the year, 13th, 14th, and 15th. The June 13th optional work day would be now a June 18th optional work day. And that is the recommendation for the makeup days for the calendar.
2 days were forgiven, right?
2 days were forgiven based on the fact that we have hours built in. The minimum required hours is 1,025. With our calendar of 180 days, I think we had 1,080 days built in.
That's 2 days
1,080
of
hours.
Students forgiven, but the
Right.
teachers have to work the full contract.
Well, I think Mr. Lemon and I were both concerned about the loss of time in the classroom.
Yes, sir.
But it just highlights the problem with our limited schedule in terms of options. The only way this could really be done, I think, as I recall the conversation, was spring break
Or Saturdays.
or Saturday.
You know, it's Saturday attendance would be like.
And neither of those would tend to be very productive nor popular.
Well, and another option would be to add time to the day, and nobody wants to do that in February. Correct.
Right.
But I do want to make a comment that Brunswick County schools go to school 15 minutes less a day than all of our neighboring counties, including Columbus, Pender, Onslow, Sampson, and New Hanover, with the exception of their elementary kids. 15 minutes a day equates to 6 instructional days in a 180-day calendar. It would, if we were matching their time schedule, forgiving 2 days wouldn't be as serious when you add 6 days of instruction by adding that 15 minutes. So I think we seriously need to look at that for the future.
I think that could be a point of discussion, definitely.
Well, Mr. Lemon and I have talked about this, and I believe that it is linked to the multi-tier busing because of the start times, not having
The shared
primary
busing.
or elementary children at the road too early and those kinds of things. So be sure and include transportation.
We have talked with transportation, and in talking with transportation, if we do extend the time, we would not start earlier because it's too early. And I mean, you know, the winter days we're in the dark anyway. I mean, and we don't like that, particularly on the extreme cold days when, you know, we've even had to delay one time because of the cold. But if it were to be added in the afternoons, not in the morning time frame.
We were trying to keep the maximum time of travel for the children down.
Down,
And
yes,
we
sir.
have right about an hour is the longest bus ride.
Hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Depends. The BCA bus, early college,
But
high school is a
that
little longer.
means that we have some children getting home at 5:30.
Be in that time frame, yes, sir.
So I think our geography may be partially the explanation. We're so big that it takes our buses a long time to get around.
Let me make one comment about the extra days at the end of this school year. Dr. Oates was meeting with the elementary principals, and they brought up that maybe this is a time that we start the teacher academy, because we have the teachers there for a couple of 3 days of when they have to be there, and instead of them standing around and being bored and just closing, that we actually provide some professional development. And the school leaders, the principals, were saying there are pieces and parts in that professional development that we would like to do at our school. So there is an ongoing conversation about how to use those 2 days if this calendar is approved.
Well, I love the idea of kind of building momentum going into a new year, but I'm also an advocate for a full month of professional development, so.
We all are.
Okay.
And this was brought before TAC, right?
I'm sorry.
This was brought before the
The
teacher
makeup
advisory?
days.
As
These-
far as
The makeup days.
Makeup days?
We have not, we spoke a little bit about, when we met with Dr. Oates, we spoke a little bit about what our options were calendar-wise. And then I want to say through emails, it was suggested that we possibly run Teacher Academy through those days. It wasn't presented to TAC
Right.
necessarily, but we discussed it via email. I did, I'm sorry. So it hasn't been, we haven't met with TAC since that early January meeting.
And I'm not saying that TAC brought this up. This was the elementary principals were talking about their options with their teachers and how their teachers could work for, you know, on particulars in their school. So,
Discussing.
Right.
that. It's an open discussion right now, Mr. Miller. It's not something that we have a finite plan.
Well, I'm talking about the makeup days. I mean,
Yes,
that's,
there was, yes, Dr. Oates was, we discussed the makeup days. I want to say March 9th was one. Did we decide to keep that a half day or full day?
No, that was gonna be a full day. It was an early release, I think it was.
Early release day, so that was adding
We're gonna make that a full day, the 9th, that's what we discussed.
a few hours, just in case there were another snowstorm.
Mm-hmm. We'll just get some hours back.
Yes, yes. So we were on board with this, yes.
okay. That was my question, if y'all were.
Bottom line is that it's about as good as we're gonna get it.
Yeah, I mean, the law tells us what we have to do. I mean, it's,
Yes.
okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed makeup days, adjustments to the calendar.
As presented,
as
presented by Dr. Oates.
staff during committee and tonight.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
second.
Second by Mr. Lemon. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, discussion and announcements by the superintendent.
And looking at February committee meetings, looking at the February committee meetings, we know that the policy committee is overloaded right now. I think we have probably, 20? A lot, as Jill said. I mean, it's about that thick. It may be, and I will talk with you individually to see, it may be that we want to devote an afternoon just strictly to policies and get those out of the way, so that we can have the other items on the committees that we don't have to rush through to get to the policies.
Well, we've had a somewhat of a vacation with 30-minute committee meetings, in terms
Yes,
of
sir.
schedule. And it really, there's too many things that need to be talked about and decisions made. I think we're going to have to build some space in there.
I agree, totally. But one of the options, though, and we'll discuss it, that maybe we need to add an afternoon or a morning for a couple of hours just on policies, because we are behind on those.
I think we also need to look at a retreat date or something.
That was probably, 20 items or so?
At least.
committee that we weren't able to address?
Yes, sir, at least.
And that's not new policies, that's just making.
Just catching up.
That's housekeeping.
Mhm. And you see the next board meeting is March the 6th, and we'll go from there. And I'm glad that Ms. Phillips had the 7 inches of snow, and I don't want any more.
Me either. All right, do we have a motion to go into closed session as listed on the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cook. Second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Thompson. All in favor? Aye. We'll take 5 minutes.